I came to Austin in 1975 to go to graduate school and met my husband, who I married in 1978. And sometime before that, we began coming to All Saints.
I grew up as an Episcopalian. I grew up in West Texas and came to UT as an undergrad.
I had been raised in the Methodist Church in Ohio. And so coming to Texas was a big switch.
A few years later, Betsy Allen was the director of religious education, and she invited me to teach Sunday school.
Armistead did our pre-Cana talks, told us he thought we had a lot going for us. And when we got ready to adopt kids, we contacted him for just to have somebody to bounce an idea off of.
But I agreed to teach and found that I was invited into this lively community of teachers that fed me and challenged me and encouraged me.
We've been involved with All Saints for a long time.
And I've been mostly teaching ever since.
It was 1995 when I started volunteering with Sarah. So that's 25 years working with the production company.
And we've been doing production company since that time. When I was teaching Sunday school with Betsy Allen, she introduced me to the idea of using drama. And we began to do things like turn the table upside down and pretend it was a vote.
I guess it was probably 1994 when Molly Bennett asked me if I would be willing to teach Sunday school. And I said no.
I had no background in drama, so I didn't have any idea how, it hadn't occurred to me to use drama up until that time.
So I thought, wow, this is really good.
Some friends of ours acquired one of those VCR cameras, the big old heavy things that you had to actually lug the VCR around with it, that they learned about these stories. And we had interesting conversations around things like, well, what is God like in this story? And why on earth is this story in the Bible? I mean, what is wrong with people that they behave that way?
And so that first experience of the year is a real introduction to a ministry of generosity.
We began to end our year by building a Bible time machine and then putting on a little play that took us back to as a year-end review of all the things that we had done.
And I remember Molly Bennett telling me one time, these are wonderful stories. They just need to be told. I remember Kingsley Coppinger was the Pharaoh one time, and he was talking about the dreams that he had, and 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows. And why did I dream about cows? I don't even like cows. They're bloopers, they're funny lines. Helen Burnett saying, "That's for the king to decide, you worm." And that reminds me of a story of one little boy who didn't want to speak on the camera, but he got to make the pig noises when we told the story of the prodigal son. Because he was...
Some children come to us not knowing how to hang up a garment. Well, since we're a production company, part of our cleanup is almost always hanging the costumes back up. So instead of railing about that or despairing about that, we teach them how to do it.
It just doesn't seem like that would be a question you have to ask. I mean, it's so crucial for everyone to have a community. And we live in a big city. My husband has said for a long time, this is the small town where we live. All Saints is the small town where we live.
We live in a service economy, and we're used to the idea that, that we pay for something and get a service for it. And I think when you think about stewardship in the context of the finances of the church, I think you have to abandon that a little bit, because it really isn't, the church isn't a service that's you're purchasing. It's part of your belonging. It's people coming together to be the church and to share our resources and to give what we have and be grateful and to receive from other people who want to offer what they have.
And it didn't begin with money, honestly, although we've always given something, but it really began with time and talent. And then we just felt more and more invested.
And so I just think about it as, you know, it's part of your belonging. It's part of to this wonderful community. I mean, this is an amazing community. We don't conduct very many portions of our lives in that way. But I'm grateful to the church for putting me in a position where I began to think of it that way, because it's so much healthier and so much more wholesome than many of the ways that we think about our treasure and our talents and our time. Because there's something to sticking with churches through thick and thin, and happy and sad and loss, and seeing people come and go, and then they come back and go again, seeing programs come and go back again.
You know, where your heart is, that's where your treasure is going to be. All that kind of generous, loving attention and care. It's really more than attention. It's really genuine care that the children feel from the adults at All Saints. I can't imagine anything more worth supporting. So I'm kind of taking my commitment from my family to my church family and now to the greater community, trying to reach out and make a difference, and let my experience be heard. I couldn't have done that if the church hadn't welcomed me when I was 25. And if it hadn't helped me find a place where my skills were valuable and helped me feel not just important, but essential in a way. And I think it's really meaningful to me that All Saints was put here specifically for the women of the University of Texas. I've seen so much growth in the way the church encourages women and accepts our strengths. I remember one girl at a girls' overnight said, "Oh, I hate my ears. My ears stick out. My ears are awful." And I said, "You know what? Someday somebody is going to love you. And your ears are going to be something they treasure, because your ears are just your ears. They're cute. They're going to be cute to somebody else. Somebody else is going to love you because you're imperfect." That's what we love about each other. Now, I hope that in 120 years, somebody will be able to say something loving and encouraging like that to another 12-year-old or 13-year-old who's feeling like they just don't measure up.